Hey guys, welcome to today's class. Have fun.
Today we will be talking about tools of economic analysis. Tools are instruments or means by which economic data can be interpreted and analyzed for easy understanding. And these tools include tables, graphs, and charts. Table is an orderly or systematic arrangement of data in column, that is vertical column, and rows, which is the horizontal rows, for easy understanding and interpretation of presentation. For example, here is a table showing the number of students that wrote Economics and Mathematics WAEC examination in 1870. You can see that the data is arranged in columns and rows. Columns are the vertical lines, while rows are the horizontal lines. For example, the column, which is sex, economics, mathematics, total, while the rows we have the sex, the male, female, and total. So the table shows that the total of 230 students wrote the WAEC examination in 1870. And out of the 230 students, 130 were male and 100 were female. 40 females took economics, while 50 males took economics, and the total number of students that took economics was 90 students, and 80 male and 60 female took mathematics, giving a total of 140 students that took mathematics. So you can see that with a table you can easily present your information in a way that readers can understand. Features of a table. A table must be simple and easy to understand. A table presentation must have a title. Example: the table below shows the number of students that wrote economics and mathematics WAEC examination in 1870. This is an example of the heading for this table presentation. Also, a table must have a sub-heading for columns and rows. For example, in our table, you can see that the sub-heading for columns were sex, economics, mathematics, and total, and that of rows were male, female, total. Another attribute of a table is that a table must be numbered if there are many, for easy understanding in terms of reference, where you can easily refer to information based on the number. For example, number 20, column and row. Also must show the source of information if known. For example, our table does not have any source of information because this information was generated by me, so there is no source of information for our table. The importance of a table as an economic tool is that table help summarize data with titles and units. It provides easy understanding an interpretation of data or information. 3. It brings out important features or points in a data. That is, you can easily point out the important points that you want to know in a data. Table also make comparison between different classes of data easier. For example, you can compare the number of male and female that wrote economics and mathematics WAEC examination in 1870. Another importance of tables is that it helps to make decision making quick and easy. Please go through the possible question on tables and basic economic tools of analysis. Another economic tools of analysis is graphs. Graphs is defined as a diagram showing a functional relationship between two or more variables. Also, information presented on tables can also be further interpreted or shown in graphs for more understanding. Example of graphs, we have the line graphs, which you can see on the slide. We also have example of graph pictographs. We have pie chart or graph. We also have bar chart. So this is also an example of a graph being plucked from a table. This graph is also called line graph because it uses lines to connect the nodes. So you can see that our graphs here has a title, a graph showing market demand for pig milk. The graph also have y-axis and x-axis. The y-axis is the price of pig milk, while that of x-axis as the quantity demanded. The y-axis is always the vertical line, while the x-axis is always the horizontal line. So from the graph we can see that there is inverse relationship between the price and quantity of goods demanded, because when the price of pig milk is high, the quantity demanded is low, and when the price of pig milk is low, the quantity demanded is high. So there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. So as we have stated before, features of a graph must have a title, a graph must have the y-axis, which is the vertical line, and the horizontal line, which is the x-axis. A graph must be labeled properly for better understanding. The y-axis must be labeled and the x-axis must be labeled for easy understanding of what you are presenting. Graphs must have appropriate scale. So if you are using a scale of 5 in between two numbers, it should be 5 throughout. Graphs are important because it helps to show the relationship between two variables. For example, our graph shows an inverse relationship between price and demand because the curves slope downward from left to right. The importance of graphs is that it gives a clear understanding of quantitative information illustrated in table form. So from our table, we are able to have a clearer understanding of the information that was presented in the table. That is, we could find out the relationship between the variable price and quantity demanded. Another importance of graphs is that it shows the effect of changes in variable on quantity. So from our graphs you can see the effect of changes in price of pig milk on the quantity demanded of pig milk. Another basic tools of economic analysis is charts. Charts are also diagrams like graphs used to present a data or information. Table can also be translated into charts. Example of charts, we have the bar chart, the pie chart, the picture chart. So you can see that graphs and charts are somehow interrelated. Here we have example of the bar chart. This is a simple bar chart drawn from the population census of 3 states. Also you can see that the bar chart has y-axis and x-axis well labeled. Also the width of the bars should be equal and the length should be proportional to the quantities they represent. We also have the pie chart, example of the pie chart drawn from the information presented in the table. How to draw a pie chart? Step 1. Add up the total figure of the value under consideration. Here we had on those the 20,000, just a population, having a population of 25,000, Kwara having a population of 15,000, a total of 60,000. Step 2. Work out the value to percentage or degree. That is percentage 100% or degree 360 degrees. We simply have our calculation here. 100 equals to 20,000 divided by the total value times 100, because we are using percentage. If it was degrees, we will use 360. So here we have 33.3%. So we just round it up to the nearest whole number. Same goes for JAWS, where we have 25,000 divided by the total number times 100, and we have 41.67 in percent. Always remember that your final answer, if you are using percentage, it should be in percent. If you are using degrees, final answer should be in degrees. We have Kwara also 15,000. 15,000 divided by the total number, which is 60,000 times 100. So we have 25% as our outcome. So at the end of your calculation, whatever be your outcome, that is 33, 41, 25, should be equals to the percentage. If it is in degrees, it should be equals to 360 degrees. Next step is to draw your circle using your protractor. Please always use your protractor when you are drawing a pie chart in an examination. It's very important for you to have an accurate outcome. Divide the circle into sectors and write the percentage or degrees of each sector by it. So on Ondo State, it should be written 33%. For JAWS, it should be written 42%, and Kwara, it should be 25%. But it is not showing on my pie chart because I use my computer to draw it. So please, when you are drawing it with your hands, always indicate their percentage on each sector. Some basic statistical measures and representation, also known as measure of central tendency. This is also another tools of economic analysis, which include the arithmetic mean, the media, the mode. Measure of central tendency is used when describing a certain property of a population or sample. It is used as a means of determining the most typical value of a property in a given data. For example, if you want to know the average of a population or sample, you can calculate the mean. If you want to know the median, that is the middle number of a population, you can calculate the median. If you want to know the age of a population that are most occurring or are many in the population, you use the mode. Arithmetic mean is calculated as the total sum of the item divided by the number of items in a distribution. Please don't be confused here. The total sum of the item is adding together all the numbers given in the distribution, while the number of items in a distribution is counting how many items are there in that distribution. For example, given the following distribution on numbers, we have 4, 9, 12, 1, 5, 8, 3, 7, and 2. This is on group data. Calculate the arithmetic mean. We have a solution. First of all, you write your formula, which is x bar equals summation of x divided by n, where summation of x is the total sum of the items and n is the number of the item. So as I was explaining, the number of the items is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 numbers here. So n, our n now is 10. So our mean equals the sum, which is 27, of the distribution divided by the item of the distribution, which is 10, and our final answer is 5.7. Our answer shows that if the items were equally distributed, each of the items will be 5.7. That is, each person will not get less than 5.7. What are the advantages of arithmetic mean? It serves as an instrument of comparison. 2. It shows the value which each item in a distribution would get if the sum total of all the items in the distribution were equally shared. 3. It has a stable value. That is, if you calculate your means based on the formula correctly for a given population or sample, it does not change. 4. It is suitable for further statistical analysis. That is, you can use it for further calculation such as mean deviation and standard deviation, etc. Number 5 advantage is that it is one of the most commonly used and reliable measure of central tendency. The disadvantages of arithmetic mean is that it is very difficult to determine by mere inspection. So by mere looking at it, you cannot easily determine the arithmetic mean, especially when the numbers are many. It is difficult to compute when the numbers are many. The results can be influenced by unrepresented value. Like for example, you omit a value or a value was not added. It can affect the average of that given population. So you must always ensure that you don't omit any value when you are calculating your arithmetic mean, so that you can get the correct answer. Another measure of central tendency is the median. The median is the middle value or item of a given distribution. But before determining the middle value of a given distribution, you must always arrange the distribution of value in ascending order, that is, in ascending order from the smallest to the biggest, or in descending order from the biggest to the smallest. Also note that when you have two numbers as the middle value, you have to add the two numbers and divide it by 2. For example, given the following distribution as before, find the median. So first of all, arrange the distribution in ascending order or descending order. So here we arrange our distribution in ascending order. So we start from the smallest to the biggest. Then here we find out that our distribution here, we have the number of items here in our distribution is 10. So here we have two numbers that are in the middle, that is 5 and 6. In getting our median, we add the 5 plus 6 and divide it by 2, and our answer is 5.5. So you see that when the number of items is even, you may likely get 2 median. But assuming our number of items was 9, we will get 1 median. So our result shows that the middle number in that distribution, that is the middle number in that distribution, is 5.5. Advantages of median. And it is easy to determine the median by mere inspection. That is, after you have arranged the distribution in ascending or descending order. It is not difficult to compute because the numbers are not many. So it just requires the middle number. So it's not like means that you have to calculate or compute all the numbers in the distribution. 3. It gives the balance value of the data, that is the central value of the data. 4. It is easily understood and can be used for quantitative analysis, that is describing the data. The disadvantage of median. 1 is that calculation of median may require rearrangement of data before correct result could be achieved. 2. It considers only the middle items or numbers in a given distribution, leaving others number. So it's only consider only the middle number. So other numbers are not valuable. 3. It is not suitable for further statistical measure. We go on to mode. Mode is another measure of central tendency. Mode is referred to as the number or value that occur most frequently in a given distribution. That is, it occurs repeatedly in a given distribution. For example, we have 4, 9, 1, 2, 1, 5, 8, 3, 7, 6. Find the mode. The number that occurs most frequently or repeatedly is 1 in our example, and 1 is the mode because it is the most occurring number. Every other number occurs 1, while 1 occurs twice. Advantages of mode. It is easy to determine the mode by mere inspection. So by mere looking at the distribution, you can see the number that occurs repeatedly, frequently. 2. It is always the most occurring value or number with the highest frequency. It is simple to understand. Extreme value have no effect on it. So whether the value is 20 or 100, as far as it did not occur more than any other number, it is not the mode, and it has no effect on the outcome, that is the answer. Disadvantages of the mode. 1. It considers only the most frequent occurring item or numbers in a given distribution. 2. It is not suitable for further statistical work. 3. It is difficult to calculate mode in a group data, which we are going to be looking at later. Calculating mean, mode, and median in a group data. So you are going to see that calculating mean or mode and median in a group data is different from calculating it in ungroup data, which we have been doing. Given the following ungroup data for numbers of orders received each day for our products, say pig milk, in the past 20 days. So ungroup data is being given to us. So group the data and find the mean, mode, and median. First, we group the data in a table. We group the number of orders into class intervals. So here you consider the lowest number and the highest number, and then you now group it, you now class it into different intervals. For example, here our lowest number is 10 and our highest number is 20. So whatever we are going to, the classes we are going to divide it into, it should not be more than 21. So we consider 10 to 13. But the lower the interval, the more accurate your answer. Here we have 10 to 13, 14 to 17, and 18 to 21 as our class interval. The frequency. So in looking for your frequency, we check the numbers between 10 to 13. How many do they occur? How many times do they occur? So you check 10. You can see our number 10 to 13 is being colored in green. So we just count it. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have our frequency as 8. Numbers from 14 to 17 is being colored black. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have frequency as 5. Numbers between 18 to 21 is colored red. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 as our frequency, and the total number, which is the n, total number of frequency, total sum of frequency, which is n, is equals to 20. So whatever you are getting as your frequency, that is total number, should be equals to 20 because they said for 20 days. So after grouping our data, now we want to calculate our mean using the group data. You can see that the formula for finding a or calculating mean in a group data is given as x bar equals summation of f times x divided by n, where x bar is the mean, f is the frequency, x is the midpoint of class. That is, the midpoint of class is always gotten by adding the class limit and divide it by 2. N is the sum of frequency. So first we make a table to make our calculation look easier. So we have our number of orders as before, we have the frequency, we have the class midpoint, which is the x. So we say the class midpoint is gotten by adding the class limit, that is, in this case, 10 plus 13 divided by 2. You will have 11.5. 14 plus 17 divided by 2. You have 15.5. 18 plus 21 divided by 2. You have 19.5. Then we now get our frequency times our midpoint. So f times x, that is 8 times 11.5, we have 92. 5 times 15.5, we have 77.5. 7 times 19.5, we have 136.5. And our total summation for fx is 306. So here we divide 306 by 20 as given in the formula, and our answer is 15.3. Note that when the intervals are closer, for example, if I had 10 to 11, my answer will be more accurate than when the interval are far apart. So here the interval is 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 4 points separating them. So you can see if I had 10 to 11, it's just 1 point. So the answer I will get will be closer to the answer you will get when you are calculating mean in ungrouped data. So assuming I use the ungrouped data I used to form this table and calculate the mean, my answer will be around 14. But it will be around 14, and if my interval was 10 to 11, my answer will be closer to 14. But since my interval is up to like 14, so that is my width, so the answer is far from 14. So the closer the interval or the class width, the better, the more accurate the answer. Calculating mode in a group data. And the formula for finding mode in a group data is given as LM plus change in 1 divided by change in 1 plus change in 2 bracket I times I, where I is the class width, change in 1 is the difference between the frequency of the class mode and the frequency class before the class, while change in 2 is the difference between the frequency of the class mode and the frequency after the mode. So the D1 is the class frequency mode minus the frequency of the class mode before it, while D2 is the frequency of the class mode minus the frequency of the class after the class mode. Ln is the lower boundary of the class mode. Note, class mode or modal class in a group data is the class with the highest frequency. So our solution here, we have that our LM, that is lower boundary, is 9.5. So we had our first boundary as 10 to 13. So our lower class boundary will be, you see that this way, either 10 minus 0.5, or noting that the class boundary before 10 will be 9. So you add 0.5 to the 9. So it's either you subtract the 0.5 from 10, or you add 0.5 to 9, which will have been the last class limit before 10. Our change in 1 is the difference between frequency of class mode and the frequency class before the class mode. So our frequency of class mode is 8, and since we don't have any frequency before the class mode, we use 0. That 8 minus 0 is 8. So change in 2 is the difference between the frequency of the class mode and the frequency class after the class mode. So our frequency class mode is 8 minus the class mode after it. The frequency class mode after it is 5. So we have 8 minus 5, and we have 3. Our class width, that is the interval between 10 and 13. So we have 10, 11, 12, 13. So we have 4. So our class width is 4. So based on the formula, we have our mode as 9.5 plus 8 divided by 8 plus 3 times 4. So our answer is 12.4. We are calculating the median now. The formula for median in a group data is given as Ln plus into bracket n divided by 2 minus fc divided by fm into c. You can also use I is times c or I, where n is the total frequency, fc cumulative frequency before class median, fn frequency of the class median, c the class width, lm the lower boundary of the class median. So whatever alphabet you are using, you should be able to define what it stands for. We have to look for our cumulative frequency. So we make the table and we look for our cumulative frequency. Here we can see 8 as our first frequency. 8 plus 5, 13. Then 13 plus 7, we have 20, giving us a total of 20, which is our total sum of frequency. Whenever you do your cumulative frequency, the last number must tally with your n. In calculating the median, you first look for your n divided by 2 to know your median class. So our n divided by 2 equals, our n is 20 and divided by 2. So we know that our median will be 10. Our median class will be, our median will be 10. So from the frequency, from the cumulative frequency, you can design which number falls in 10. So we see 8 does not fall in 10, but 8 plus 5, which is 13, falls in 10. So now our median class is between 14 to 17 with a frequency of 5 and a cumulative frequency of 13. So in determining your n, your median class, so you always look at the cumulative frequency. We have our lower boundary at 3.5, that is 13 plus 0.5. So we have, because anything lower boundary must be added with 0.5 or subtracted with 0.5. So here we have 13 plus 0.5. If we wanted to look from this one between 14 to 17, we now have 14 minus 0.5, so we still have 13.5. Any ways you want to use. Class width is 4 and our n is 20. Our fm, that is the frequency of the class media, will be 5, and our c, which is the accumulative frequency before the class media, is 8. So we put our formula and our final answer is 5.1. So, but I have stated that the closer the interval, the more accurate the answer. So don't always make your interval so large. Make it close. We go on to seeing the simple application of arithmetic mean. Arithmetic mean can be used to find out average. Mean can be used to get an overall idea or picture of the data set. For example, when you are given a population and you want to find out your arithmetic mean, one, you will know the total number of the population. Two, you will know your n, which is the number of items in the population, before getting your average. An example here is how much income per head of the population. So you can get to know the income per head of the population through the arithmetic mean. We have the mode. The mode is used to get the most frequently occurring event, value, or outcome. For example, you can see the product that customer buy most. The example we gave of the number of orders received, you can see the number of orders that occur most in the distribution. We have the media. The media is used to find out the middle value of a distribution. The median is used to determine a point from where 50% of the data is more and 50% of the data is less. It is also used where extreme cases are not put into consideration. That is, they do not have any effect on the outcome. For example, to find out the middle age of a population or max. To find out the average income for a country, the median is most often used because it represents the middle of a group.
I hope the class was interesting. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section or send us an email. We will love to help you further. See you in the next class.